People are walking around with so much emotional baggage that I was wondering if they needed a claim check when they left the house. But things are changing now. It appears to me that you've hit a reset button, but there's a few growing pains involved in this change. Nothing big, but a few. Let's take a look at your past cards before we look at the base of your spine cards, because I think the past is pertinent to what is happening in your present and future. You receive the Judgment and the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is a pivot card. It's the one where there's arguments and disagreements going on, but it's escalated to the point that some people have just dropped their swords and walked away because the cost of the battle is not worth it anymore. And then you went in to some type of judgment. Now, you might be judging some people and people might be judging you. But the key to this card is about forgiveness or grace, which is unconditional forgiveness, something that we don't see often in this world. And once you can forgive yourself or other people for indiscretions, you go into a rebirth. You're the phoenix rising out of the ashes. And you're ready for a new life and new challenges. Now, here on the right of the past cards at the base of your spine for sourcing and urgings, you receive the Fool. And it's saying, yeah, you're having a rebirth. There's a renewal. The Judgment card required you to do some spiritual purging and some cleansing on a celestial level. Normally, this is where the dregs of emotions end up getting winnowed down to, but now here it's kind of like it's a real breezy feeling because the clarification card is the Wheel of Fortune. The Fool is going on a self-discovery and also discover the mysteries of life and the mysteries that surround the microcosms of your world. And here, the fates of fortune are giving you the green light. This is an auspicious time to start doing some positive things in your life. Jump through this window because ultimately the wheel will go on the downswing. The cyclic energy of life. Now up in your pelvic and sacrum for awakening and arousing, receive the Death card. What happened in your past bumped you into a transformation. The Death card shows up when he's direly needed. The veil between dimensions is thinning for you. And it's making you rethink what you're doing because the clarification card is the Hermit. You're going into some kind of self-imposed isolation to gain wisdom. You want to see things now with uncensored clarity, and you can't have all the distractions of the outer world. You're changing your unconscious inner self with the Death card. You're in a cosmic mission of desperately seeking you and what will make you happy. And where do you want to go in life? One thing that can never be taken away from you is the acquired wisdom from experience. In the Bible, they say wisdom is the reflection of eternal light, a spotless mirror of the workings of God. And it's the image of His goodness. Once the Hermit comes down from his reflective mountain, he's required to share this knowledge and wisdom with the people he loves and cares about. Now up in your solar plexus for sensing and feeling, you receive the Chariot. He's about overcoming challenges and opposing forces. He has a military guise to remind you that He's about discipline and disciplining your willpower. And if you don't remember that, his appearance is reminding you that struggles and distractions, obstacles, uncertainties will never be overcome if you don't have self-control. And the clarification card is the Eight of Swords. Somewhere you're still feeling restrained. At any moment you can free yourself, but no, you choose to be in these restraints. But you're attempting to completely free yourself. You're the Fool, going on the new self-discovery journey. You have luck behind you with the Wheel of Fortune. You're in a transformation and using the wisdom of the Hermit. And you're moving forward with the Chariot. There's no reason for you to hang on to some of this old baggage that I discussed earlier. The Chariot is about motion. Now, down in the heart of the matter, the main card is the Six of Wands. It's saying, yeah, whatever you've decided, it's been a victory for you. Normally, the Six of Wands is saying that you had some kind of success for a contest or a competition, and you're doing your honor lap, and people are recognizing the accomplishments that you've done. And I think you're recognizing your accomplishments too, because the clarification card is the Star. The Star is about hope and healing. And the Star is also about finding out where you are, your position on Earth, your position with the celestial stars, which are constant and fixed. It's also about like a fog dissipating so you can see things with more clarity. And the Hermit does that also. So you're in this transition time. The reset button was hit, but you're still transitioning. And the Death card is saying that, yes. Now on the bottom right for your throat, for communicating and teachings, receive the Empress. She's about fertility and beauty. And the fertility brings new projects and new things. It's also about loving and nurturing, and I think she wants you to do that to yourself. Because the clarification card is the Knight of Cups, and he's offering a cup of emotions and love. He might be a little immature and a little rough around the edges, but yeah, it's something that you have to accept. Life is about acceptance and change. And if we didn't have love and hope, would it be worth living? And up in your third eye for seeing and envisioning, you receive the Seven of Cups. This is a card about difficult decisions. Each cup carries a prize or poison, and you have to start making decisions. But the clarification card is the High Priestess. She wants you to use your intuition. She's there for spiritual guidance. Because right now you're a neophyte. You're transforming. You have the Hermit and the Star card. Things are changing, and a lot of times when things change, it's hard to make the right decision. Just remember, the High Priestess is the translator of heavenly messages down to earth. So whatever's going to happen, it's being brought about by the Death card, because the Death card cannot change anything once it has a grip on you. It kind of has a mind of its own and moves along. But one thing you have to do is you have to be like the Hermit and be very quiet so you can hear the subtle messages coming from the High Priestess. Because up in your crown, for knowing and understanding, there's some problems there. You receive the Lover's card. Wow, that's great. You think, yeah, it is. The Lover's card is about decisions. It's about making a decision between vice and virtue. And you have the Seven of Cups under it, saying, yeah, it's time to make a decision. To really have to use your intuition while you're doing this. Intellect is fine. Reason, logic, always have to be there, but don't dispel, and be distracted not to think that there's always cosmic messages coming to you. Now, the clarification card is a rough road because you receive the Ten of Swords. This is about betrayal. You know, if you allow it, it can even go into some kind of personal bankruptcy. And this can all be related to the Five of Swords in your past where there was so much disagreement going on and the Judgment card required to step in. Now all 10 cards are indicating that there's a ending with a new beginning coming. And I pulled another clarification card to go with the Lovers and the Ten of Swords and received the Eight of Wands. And this is a card about sudden change. And there's going to be some sudden changes, and I think it has to do with the decisions that you're going to be making. Now, we talked about the past, so let's jump over to the future. And the future looks extremely bright. You received the Three of Cups. This is a card about celebration. And also the Six of Wands, and the heart of the matter is a victory celebration card. So whatever you've decided and what you've moved forward with has found some kind of success. And there's no reason that it shouldn't have succeeded when you have the Wheel of Fortune card at the base of your spine. But what's even better is the clarification card for the future, the Nine of Cups. Seems like you're just sitting on the sidelines being a spectator and looking at life from a distance. Something made you extremely dissatisfied and maybe even disappointed. You know, maybe something that you liked a lot, you were doing too much of, and it's no longer a treat. And you haven't been appreciating things lately, and you've been taking some things for granted. You haven't been counting your blessings. Or no longer do you want the so-called blessings anymore. Spice of life has lost its zest. There's no pizzazz anymore. Variety is the spice of life, but perhaps you had too much variety. You know, something might have got lost in the translation or didn't work out the way you planned it. This is an inner time of anew, weariness, and mixed with depression. You know, on most of the cards, this person is being offered a cup of opportunity, but you don't want it right now. You're just in a meditative contemplation of where you should go in life. And whatever happened, you spiraled into an unhappy emotional crisis because you received the Death card. And it's saying now that you're in a transformation. Things are changing. You're changing inside. And you're seeing things in a lot different light than you had before. You know, you came to find out that things that you thought were pretty cool and are no longer serving you anymore. You're looking for a rebirth. This card shows up when it's needed. You want to end some long drawn-out drama that's been playing in your life. If you weren't going to stop it, the Death card will. It's made a cosmic decision to intercede. Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling along because you can't stop this transition once it's started. Change is not your enemy, but you might be the enemy to change. But if you resist change in the intrinsic flow of the universe, there's going to be loss. And you'll be more depressed than you are right now. And that's why death came speeding onto the stage. Death is beckoning for some type of closure that's making you unhappy in your life. Now the High Priestess is here to bring cosmic messages to you. She's the guardian of the cosmos and bringing these messages down to earth. And they're not written in other languages, but they're very subtle. It's not some neon sign pointing this way for Taurus. Comes through intuition, dreams, premonitions, and coincidences that later on in hindsight, you realize that this chain of events were all connected, but you didn't connect the dots until you looked back. But her illuminative messages are very subtle, and you have to be vigilant to recognize them. And when you do recognize them, you have to be able to interpret them. Okay, and then I rolled the dice, and you received Gemini, Pluto, and the 5th house. So the planet is Pluto, which is the god of the underworld, and you received the Death card, so this is the theme of it. You know, there's many mysteries and allures of life and death that attempt to embrace the hidden secrets behind the priestess's veil. And here it's throwing you into a spiraling Death card transformation. Sometimes prodding into the mysteries levies a huge price to pay for the answers. This reading isn't about the power of life, but the power of death and darkness cast by the underworld god Pluto to the shadow self. But the cosmos will intercede with messages from the high priestess. You know, Taurus is the master of practical matters, but Pluto has other plans for you. That's if you allow yourself to be drawn into a tangled web of temptations. You may seek out excesses of pleasures and perhaps the wrong type of pleasures. This is indicated by the 4 of Cups card. And Pluto brings upheavals and drastic transformations in his wake, as foreshadowed by the Death card. And it's urging you into the light of enlightenment. It might sound paradoxical, but it's true. The extreme meeting of good and bad forces is causing a titanic clash. And stubborn you, Taurus, is right in the middle. Pluto is a marionette with his controlling hands enticing you into secret affairs. This includes illicit sex, closet gambling, emotional bondage, and the dominance and submission game could all be acted out for just trivial entertainment purposes, and you have to be really careful about this. You mix and mingle with others for ulterior motives for personal gain. And this could leave you in ill repute. You must interpret the high priestess's messages, because she is now the guide to expose Pluto's secrets of entrapment. And now, on a more positive note, simple solutions can reinvent complex problems. The ebb and flow of your ideas, they're coming along when you're at high tide, your own personal high tide. However, those following you in your mercurial footsteps will be confused, especially at your thoughts at any particular time. You've learned to love and you've loved to learn. And you'll explain every excruciating concept in detail if you can find a victim to listen to you. An impromptu excursion for the adventure is possible if you have the time to escape the gruel and grind of modern life. Physical exercise will massage pent-up emotions.